Hi everybody, thank you for watching. So today's video is a very exciting one. I very unexpectedly received this package in the mail from Morphe Brushes and Jaclyn Hill, and wow, if you follow me on Snapchat, you know that I was not expecting this palette at all. When I opened it up, the actual palette is in here, but this was like the coolest thing to me.
I'll be honest, I don't even know how to film this video right now because
I have never received anything like that in the mail, and it was very incredibly overwhelming. I have no idea how I got selected for this PR package, but just a big thank you to Morphe Brushes and Jaclyn Hill. And of course, to be able to get the palette early, it just was so shocking to me. I've never received anything from Morphe. I haven't gotten any PR packages in the past. I had no idea this was coming. This was completely unexpected to me. I am not affiliated with Morphe. I don't have a discount code or anything like that. Like I said, I've never received anything from them in the past. I really have no idea how I was one of the chosen ones to get this package, but I'm just insanely thankful. But the biggest reason is so that I could get into this palette and let you guys know what I think of it. I know that there has been a lot of hype around this palette, a lot of drama and controversy, but also a lot of excitement, and people are very curious about the actual shades in the palette. And to be able to get this early and to be able to make this video before the palette launches, I've never been in this position before, and it's a really cool feeling that hopefully I will be able to help some people make the decision on whether or not to get the palette. I also feel a lot of pressure to get this review right. I really wanted to take my time and not do more of like a first impression video. I wanted to really be able to give you my thoughts and my review. When I got it, I immediately sat down and swatched it. I swatched it with my finger, I swatched it with a brush. I have photos that I will be inserting so you can see those swatches. And then I did one eye in one look, I did one eye in another look. I woke up at 5:30 Saturday morning, did one eye look and another eye look. Took it off, went to spin class, came back, showered, and then created this look. So I've been really wanting to try to use as many different shades on my eyes so I can actually give my opinion and not just a first impression and not just a swatch. I wanted to be able to tell you how they actually perform on the eyes. I will also be inserting a tutorial of me creating this eye look with the palette. So I want to say again, just a big thank you to Morphe and Jaclyn. This was so overwhelming. Also thank you to you guys. I do not believe that I got this palette solely because of me. It's very much a team effort, and I thank you guys so much for the support, and you know, we did this together. So why don't we go ahead and get started. So for the palette, here is the outer packaging. It is white and silver. It is the cardboard material, and then when you open it up, there is a little quote here from Jaclyn and her signature, and then we have all the 35 shades here. This is $38 for the palette. You get 35 shades. Jaclyn said in her video that all of the different eyeshadows are either a different formula or pressed differently, a different finish, and how complicated that is to do for a palette. So, I mean, there's mattes, shimmers, lights, mediums, neutrals, duochromes. There's, I mean, a little bit of everything. So kind of right off the bat, I was disappointed that there wasn't a mirror, because I love mirrors in my palettes. I just find them so helpful. The packaging, I don't mind. I kind of like that it's not the regular 35 palette from Morphe, which is more of like the plastic. Like, I don't know, I kind of like it a little bit better than that. Like, I feel like it looks better quality. The white, I have a feeling, is going to get dirty very quickly. So I don't know, I feel like I'm gonna like ruin the palette. That being said, the packaging also didn't completely blow me away for the $38 price tag. I don't know, that's just me. I thought it could have been maybe just a little bit better. One thing I do also want to note is when we got the PR package, it was only this inside. I noticed in Jaclyn's video she has the actual box, and then this is inside the box, and the box has like her 4 photos on the back, and there's also some writing on the back. I also do not know the ingredients for these eyeshadows. I do not have anything in my possession that says that. I did a lot of research online trying to find it, and I can't find anything that says that. I know people were really asking me if I could compare the formulas in this eyeshadow palette to other Morphe eyeshadow palettes or other eyeshadow palettes in general. I am going to be unable to do that because I do not have that information. So I apologize. I know a lot of people were curious about the ingredients and I do not have those. So I do apologize for that. I did appreciate in Jaclyn's video that she went more in depth about kind of why the palette was $38. I knew that she had said in the past that it took 2 years for them to create, and I understand that that's a lot of time to create an eyeshadow palette, but I still was really wondering about the $38 price point. Most of the Morphe 35 eyeshadow palettes are $22.99, so for this to be almost double that price, I was very concerned. I thought maybe the palette would be a couple dollars higher because of a collaboration, and you usually do see that with collaborations, but I wasn't expecting $38, and I was a little bit thrown by that. That you guys have seen Jaclyn's video where she talks about the palette. She explained about the new machines, about the different finishes and the pressings of the eyeshadows, and she goes into all of that detail. So I'll have her video listed down below in case for some reason you haven't seen it. You guys can take what you want to take from her video and what she is saying, but for me, I appreciated her going into that detail and into a little bit more depth. I have no idea what it takes to create an eyeshadow palette. It was a good like a little mini lesson for me on how to create makeup. So for me, I appreciated it. But why don't we go ahead, I know that you guys probably want to see some swatches, so let's go ahead and jump into the inside of this palette and get some swatches done. So when you open the palette up, I do have to say that I was also disappointed that the shade names are not on here. There is like a little card that comes inside the palette and has each of the shade names on here, but to me, I'm like, it's gonna be annoying if I ever try to do tutorials or talk about shades that I'm always gonna have to remember to pull this card out. Like I said, I do have photos that I'm gonna be inserting of the swatches on my arm. The first or like top swatch is going to be my finger swatch, and the swatch just below that is going to be the brush swatch. I did not swatch any of these with Fix Plus. They were all with a dry brush. I don't know if people are gonna be disappointed because I'm not going to be live swatching all of them. I'm gonna pick some of my favorites and swatch them on my arms. But honestly, to me, swatches I think are important, but it's most important of how the shadows actually work on your eyes. And I didn't want this to be just a swatch video of me with my fingers or even a brush, because when I get a new eyeshadow palette, I don't swatch up my arm and then go out and tell people like, look at my new palette. It matters what's on the eyes, and some palettes swatch bad and perform great, and some palettes swatch great and perform bad. Like it depends on what is on the eyes. But I know that people like swatches, so that's why I'm going to insert the photo and then also grab out some of my favorites so I can show you here. So starting in the top row, we have, you know, some of the lightest shades here. One thing that confused me as well, I mean, you have 35 colors to pick, right? There is no like matte, like bone colored shade or white shade, because the first thing that I do is I prime my eyes and then I set them with some sort of white or bone colored shade, and this palette doesn't have it. I'm like, how out of 35 shades, like you don't have that like staple first color to go for? Because these first two, which are In Light and Beam, they are very similar to one another, and I just feel like, I don't know, one of them could have been a little bit different and been a matte. But I do have In Light as my brow bone highlight and then also as my inner corner highlight. It is a very pretty shade. I also have like legit notes here on each of the shades that I made between Jaclyn's video and then just my own thoughts. I have a lot of notes to talk about. I also have notes on my phone, so I'm gonna get those ready too. I really wanted to make this like a good review video. Next two, which are Silk Cream and MFEO, or Made for Each Other. They are very similar as well. The kind of like your light brown transition shades. And to me, it was like, you could have one and not the other, especially because there's other shades in here that could be used as transition shades. I just wasn't sure why those had to be so close. I know she said about the different undertones, but I don't know, to me they were just super similar. And then we have the three shimmer shades in here. So we have Faint, which is more of like a very light pink shimmer metallic, and then Sassy, which is a duochrome, and that one is very pretty. It is pink and gold, and I did think, or I'm sorry, it's Sissy. Sissy, and I thought that one was really pretty as well. And then Little Lady, honestly, these 3 shimmers, when I swatched them, they didn't do a ton for me. I tried both Sissy and Little Lady on my eyes, and I liked them much more. So here are a few swatches. We have in Light, and then Sissy and Little Lady. So there they are swatched out on my hand. And again, especially for these shimmers, like they are pretty swatched, but especially like when I did the brush swatch, I was just kind of like underwhelmed. I was like, I'm not sure. Once you put them on your eyes, they are much better. You actually get them on your eyes, like I just really feel like you can't accurately judge them. Yeah, so out of the first row, I mean, I liked them and I thought it was fine. I thought some of the colors were too similar to one another. And the metallics, what I would also recommend with these metallics is to have a wet brush, a MAC Fix Plus. For Little Lady, I found like that one was better with some Fix Plus. Sissy on its own though is gorgeous. That's a very pretty duochrome. Moving on to the second row, I was super excited to see this row. Like it looked gorgeous. It was calling my name in all sorts of ways. So the first shade we have is Creamsicle, which is a matte shade, and when I saw it, it reminded me right away, I think, of Chickadee from Makeup Geek, the Makeup Geek single shadow. I have always wanted Chickadee. I've seen Jaclyn Hill in a lot of her Makeup Geek tutorials, was always playing with Chickadee, and I'd always wanted that shade, so when I saw it, that was immediately what my mind went to. Was anybody else that way? I was so excited over that one. And then we have Butter, again, a really nice transition shade. Like we have 3 of like very similar colors. I mean, even Pooter, the one next to it, like it was just, there's so many other colors that I felt like could have happened. And Pukey, which is a like baby puke color, which I know that might be weird, but one of my favorite shades as well. And then Hunts is absolutely stunning. I remember Jaclyn saying in her video that Linda Morphe was really the one that like finally got this shade right, and kudos to freaking Linda Morphe because that shade is gorgeous. That was also one of the first ones that I used all over my eyes, and I could not get enough of that shade. It was absolutely stunning. And then we have Firework, which is a really nice like orange red shimmer, and then Queen, which is like a true gold foiled shadow, and it is phenomenal. It's swatched fantastic and it went on the eyes fantastic. I kind of want to show you a lot from this row because this row just had me all sorts of excited. So we have Chickadee, and then Pukey, and then Hunts. Now I will say with these shadows as well, there was a lot of kick up in the palette. I'm very happy to say on the eyes there was very little fallout. Some of the shimmer shades gave me a little bit of fallout. I also do want to swatch Firework and Queen. Queen is, I mean, I don't know, man. Queen was like one of the stars of this palette. It was so gorgeous. And I'll try to do Queen live so you can see it. Yeah. Like that shade is sick. So that is Firework and Queen. That second row was really good. I can see myself in that second row. I mean, I can see myself creating multiple eye looks from that second row alone. I feel like you can do a lot there with your transitions, and then with those beautiful Chickadee and Hunts, you could do different things, and then the 2 shimmers are absolutely phenomenal. I think that row really complements itself. I really could like live in that second row. So the first row had me feeling a little bit, I don't know if I want to say underwhelmed, but just a little bit on the fence. The second row, I was like having a dance party in my office because I was getting so excited. So moving on to the third row, we have Obsessed. I know Jaclyn said this was a very tough color to make. And it is a very interesting shade. It has a nice light shimmer to it, and I think it would be really pretty all over the lid. Like it's not metallic and it's not like super overpowering, but it would be good for an everyday lid shade. And then the one next to it is SBN, or Smoky But Natural. I used this on my eyes in one of the first times that I was trying looks from this palette. It was just a shade that really spoke to me. And again, kind of like what I thought with Obsessed, SPN was, it's not metallic or super overpowering on the lids, but it looks really nice. Again, I think that you would have even better color payoff with this one if you used MAC Fix Plus or you know, some sort of like water or liquid on your brush. I think you would have more of that metallic look, but if you didn't want that and you want it more natural, smoky but natural, then skip the liquid. One next to that is Hillster, which is a really gorgeous shade. This one is like a cream shimmer is what Jaclyn described it as. One next to that is Roxanne, which is a matte burnt red. Again, one of the first shades that I tried. I was so into that. And again, Jax, which is right next to it, I paired that with Roxanne in one of the first looks that I tried with this palette, and I really enjoyed both of them. And then Buns is the second to last one over here. And it was funny, in Jaclyn's video she said that this was the one that Linda wanted in the palette and Jaclyn didn't because she thought it was basic, and she said that she wears it so much. I've created, what, 5 different looks I think now with this palette, and I used Buns in like 2 or 3 of them. It is such a good shade. I used it on my eyes today to, it was like my very last step to just blend out all the shadows. I love that shade. It's one of my favorites. And then the last one is Crayon Apple, which is a really nice like cranberry shimmer shade. This one is definitely more metallic than these other 3 shimmers that we have in the beginning. I don't think that you need Fix Plus with that unless you want a super poppin' cranberry look. That one is very, very good on its own. These are the last 3 in the palette. We have Roxanne, Buns, and Crayon Apple. These would make a really pretty pairing all together. So those are just some quick finger swatches right there of those. Really do love like the reds, the cranberry shades, but I like that we have some of the lighter shades as there as well. Again, I feel like the row really complements each other very well, and you could do a lot of looks within that row. With a 35 shade eyeshadow palette, you know, there's not really like a theme to it, you know, like the Sweet Peach palette and everything is kind of peachy, and you know, the new Urban Decay Naked Heat palette, those kind of have the same color scheme and theme. This one doesn't, but I appreciate that each row makes sense to each other and I think complements each other really well. So that was another thing that I kind of took away from the palette. We have Royalty. Jaclyn described it as a shimmer purple pressed with glitter. That shade was insane, let me tell you. And then we have Twerk, which it's a blue, and it's just incredibly hard to describe this blue because it is stunning. It's not something that I would normally gravitate towards, but I do want to put it all over my lid just to see what it looks like because I am so curious. Next to it we have Hustle, which is another shimmer, and it is more of a cool toned shimmer shade. Next to that we have Meeks, which is a really beautiful bronze shimmer. It has taken everything in me not to use that shade yet because it is so stunning. Next to that we have 24/7, which is on my lids right now, all over my lids. This is a shade that Jaclyn said you really want to use with a wet brush or to apply with your finger, and so that is exactly what I wanted to do, and she was wearing it on her lid in her video where she was talking about it, and I thought it was so gorgeous. I think it's gorgeous. Honestly, when I swatched it, it was kind of one of those that I swatched and like would kind of forget about. It wasn't until I went back to watch Jaclyn's video so I could take more notes that when she said that, and then I looked at her eyes, I was like, I'm gonna try that shade, and I am very excited for that one. And then the last 2 we have Chip, which is a matte cool brown and it has purple undertones to it. And the one next to it is Mocha, which is a warm fudge brown. I do have both of these on my eyes. Because I do have the last 3 shades on my eyes, I went ahead and just put the first 4 shades so we can see them swatched out. Okay, so there are those first 4 shades. I don't feel like this row complements each other as well as some of the other rows because we do have these kind of like more crazy pops of color, but these last few shades here I feel like do complement each other very well, would work together very well, and I was very impressed with these mattes. I was super impressed with 24/7, and then I do like the way these swatch, especially Meeks. So that was the 4th row. Okay, in the last row we have Pool Party, which is also a duochrome with gold and aqua blue. And then we have Jada, which is a really pretty, like almost like a seafoam green type of color. I will say that one didn't swatch the best with my finger or a brush, and I do need to get that on my eyes to try it out to see how it is. The next one that we have is Diva, which is a really nice green shade. I did put this one on my eyes with Enchanted this morning when I was trying out the palette, and I will say that both of these 2 I didn't think swatched great with my finger or my brush. Putting them on my eyes, this was super easy to blend out, and this looked really well paired with that green, and it looked very pretty on the eyes. I don't think that you need a MAC Fix Plus with that shade, but I think it would help it be more metallic if that's the look that you're going for. But I really enjoyed both of these colors. And then we have Central Park, which she described as like a coffee. shade, and that's exactly what it is, a very deep brown shade. And then we have Soda Pop, which has some purple in it. Yes, she described it as a dark purple, and then Abyss, which is supposed to be a black. Last two shades did not swatch well at all with my finger or a brush. I think the black looked very patchy on my eyes. It was almost like skipping when I was using my brush to apply it. So the last two shades I did not enjoy, to be honest. There are some swatches on my hand from the last row, Pool Party, Enchanted, and then Soda Pop and Abyss. I did want to include two that I really liked and then two that I didn't love as much. Soda Pop and Abyss, the dark purple, and then the black. Honestly, I didn't really find that to be black. I mean, it's black, but it's not the most like intense pigmented black that I've ever seen in a shadow. And again, the last two, I did try both of them on my eyes and they just didn't blend out very well. The shades I didn't love, but a lot of the other ones in the last row I found to be very, very good. So those are some of the swatches, some of the ones that I wanted to pinpoint from the palette as well. Hopefully the photos helped you out also. But for my tutorial, I think I have this said in the correct way, that I went in with Puder for my first crease color, and then I did Mocha as my second crease color, and then I did Chip, and I focused Chip like mostly on the outer part of the V, of the V of my eye, just to give it some more definition out there. And then I did Wet My Brush and went in with 24/7 and put that all over my lid. I did put a little bit of buns on a brush as well, and then blended everything out with that shade. I have in Light on my brow bone and inner corner, and then on my lower lash line I combined Puder and buns and clips in here from me doing my makeup as well, so you can see how they actually apply. And again, to me, how the shadows apply to your eyes is the most important over swatches any day. And I'll say that when I did the finger swatches, I got pretty excited. I really enjoyed them. I did the brush swatches and I was like, some of them were kind of hit or miss. Mattes blend out very, very well. There is an exception of a few of those shades like Soda Pop and Abyss that I mentioned, but for the most part, the mattes are blending out phenomenally. I'm very, very impressed with them, yet they're still super pigment at the same time, and there's no fallout from the mattes, which I appreciate. The shimmers, I mean, we have so many different finishes. Some are shimmers, some are metallic, some have glitter, some are foiled. It's kind of, kind of all over the board, so it's hard just to say one thing about the shimmers. To me, some other shades that could have been in here versus having a lot of the same thing, but that is kind of what I thought about the shades. Overall, with the shades, once I actually did put them on my eyes, I was very impressed. Like I said, I've done 5 different eye looks with this palette in less than 24 hours because I really wanted to be able to get them on my eyes to tell you what I think about them on my eyes and not just on my hand, because I don't feel like that's super, super helpful. Hopefully some of you will agree, but my thoughts there after I have everything on my eyes is that they worked very, very well. Pigmented, blended easily, showed up well. There's definitely more hits in this palette than there are misses in this palette. There are hits and misses, of course, but definitely the hits to me outweighed the misses. And once I started putting everything on my eyes and seeing how it turned out and seeing how they looked, I was getting very, very excited. And that's kind of my tutorial and overall thoughts and how they actually do apply to my eyes. So that being said, to finish up the video, I do want to talk about the price and if I think it is worth it and who it is worth it for. So you guys might have caught my will I buy it, where I talked about this palette and I said that I was really struggling with the price because it is almost double of what a regular Morphe price is. One thing that I do want to mention is that affordable means something different to everybody. I used to work as a travel agent and almost every single client would come into the office and say, I want to go here, but I want it to be affordable. And my response to that was always, what is affordable to you? Because everybody is different. So for some, $38 is an affordable palette. For others, $38 is a really expensive palette. Now, Jaclyn did say in her Snapchat, it wasn't in her video, but it was in her Snapchat, she did say that the coupon codes will apply to this palette. She has a coupon code. A lot of other influencers do have a coupon code for 10% off. So the palette is $38. If you use your 10% off, it comes down to $34.20. That is the price range that I was expecting this palette to be in. I do appreciate that we can use the 10% off code. So that is for US. One other thing that I know sucks about this palette and sucks about Morphe is that they do have expensive shipping. In the US, shipping is $7.95, so if you get your palette at $34.20 with your $7.95, you're paying $42.15 for the palette. That is getting pretty pricey. You do get free shipping on Morphe over $75 in the US again. I know people in Canada are saying that they are going to have to pay over $100. I think I'm hearing $120. Again, it's you guys are just going to have to decide if that price is worth it to you. But speaking for the US, now you're looking at $42 for shipping. What I was going to do when I decided that I did want to get this palette, I immediately went into my Morphe account, started putting things in my cart that I have wanted from Morphe for a while. I had brushes in there, I had lashes in there, I had another liquid lipstick in there, and I very quickly reached my $75 mark to get my free shipping. I would suggest if you do want to get this palette and you do want other items from Morphe, place them all together and get your cart ready before the release, because this release is probably going to be crazy. I do have a Morphe collection video. I can leave it down below where I recommend a lot of my favorites, or if you have a friend, you know, maybe someone who lives close by, maybe you guys both want the palette, go in together, make the order together, and then that way you can hopefully hit that free shipping mark as well. Those are a couple of my ideas with the price and with the shipping, so maybe that will help some of you guys out, but that is what I was planning to do myself when I had decided to order this palette. If I did go ahead and purchase this palette myself, would I have returned it? No. I am able to get along with multiple shades in here. I've really enjoyed the eye looks that I've created, and I really do like these shadows. I would not return this palette if I bought it. Say that a friend had this palette and I was playing with it, would I decide to purchase it? Yes, I would. Not every single shade in here is a hit for me. Not every single shade I will use, but there is enough amazing shades in here that I would use, so I would purchase this myself with my own money. So a lot of people have had questions on the formula because they were saying this is such a different formula with their new machines and the new ways of making the eyeshadows, and I know a lot of people have asked, what do I think about that? It's kind of hard to say across the board because all of the shades are so different with the different finishes. What I will say is that I feel like this palette reminds me a lot of the Morphe 35R, which is one of my favorite palettes. I think it's the best palette that Morphe had put out to date. And when I bought it, I was very impressed. When I was talking about this in my Will I Buy It video, I said if the quality is the same as the 35R, I will be insanely happy because I think it is great quality. I think there are a few shades that are just like the 35R. I think there are a few shades that are even better. Queen in particular is a very nice foiled shade, and I compared it to some of them in my 35R, and I do think Queen is better. There are shades in here that I think are that same quality. There are shades in here that I think are better, and there are shades in here that I think are worse, to be honest. Again, I'm looking at these two shades right here. They really didn't do much. This shimmer shade up here really didn't do a whole lot either. There's a lot of shades in here that I absolutely love, and I'm really happy that I was able to put so many of them on my eyes to be able to say that and say that in full confidence that on the eyes, I think that these perform very well. I'm really happy that I decided to do that. It's been a very stressful and interesting almost 24 hours, and my eyes are kind of like swollen, but I really wanted to be able to get as many of these shades on my eyes so I could tell you very honestly and truthfully what I think of them, and I think that they perform fantastic on the eyes, most of them. I think it's worth the $38. That's a little bit tough for me because I feel like that's pushing it. The discount code really will help to knock it down to more of the $34 range, but I say it's going to be really silly if you don't get your 10% off because I think that you definitely should use it on this palette. Again, that being said, would I recommend this? I would. I really honestly would, and I know I'm gonna get people saying that I'm only recommending it because I got it in PR. A lot of you guys probably don't know me or don't know me personally, or maybe you don't follow me on Snapchat and you haven't seen me dedicating so many hours to this palette, to swatching, to creating all these different eye looks, to creating an eye look, taking it off, putting a new one on, watching Jaclyn's video over and over again, just going into this palette and just thinking it through. I really wanted to come on here and give an honest review and give some really good feedback and to try to help you make your opinion. I'm not going to tell people they should get this palette. I'm not going to tell people they shouldn't get this palette. I'm going to tell you my thoughts and my feedback and let you take that and take what other YouTubers are saying and form your own opinion. You get to do what you want to do with your money. You get to do what you want to do with your makeup purchases. But bottom line is, would I recommend this? Yes. I hope sincerely that that helps you, but those are kind of my final thoughts on this palette. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I just wanted to give as much information as I could and as much feedback as I could in this video, because like I said, I've never been in a position to be able to make a video on a makeup launch before it has actually launched, so I tried to take this very seriously. But after that, that's gonna do it for my thoughts, swatches, tutorial, and feedback on the new Jaclyn Hill and Morphe Brushes palette. Alright guys, so that is going to be everything for my review video on the new Jaclyn Hill and Morphe Brushes palette. I feel like you could probably tell that I was nervous in this video, but I took this review very seriously. I wanted to do the best that I could because, like I said, I've never been in this position before, and I just really wanted to do the best that I could for anybody watching this video. I sincerely hope that you found this video helpful in some way. Hopefully some of my opinions or thoughts you are able to take and make your own decision on this palette. I worked really hard on this review video, and I just really hope that you find it helpful in some way. And again, a big thank you to Morphe and Jaclyn for sending me this palette. That's kind of a moment that I will probably never forget. I talked about Jaclyn Hill a lot in my videos on YouTube and about how she has inspired me. She was one of the first people that I started watching on YouTube, so to get a package like this from her was really a very big deal to me. So that really did overwhelm me in the best way, so I just want to say thank you to them and thank you to you guys for supporting me, because I know and I understand that I wouldn't be in this position without your love and your support. I just appreciate it so much, and it's not something that I will ever take for granted. Be kind to one another in the comments. Remember that it is just makeup, but it's not only just money. Money is very important to people, so don't attack one another for wanting to spend their money on something or not wanting to spend their money on something. That is a very personal decision, and I get really disgusted when people attack each other about how we should spend our money, because that is our personal decision. Really love to know your feedback and if you plan on getting it. Again, the palette is going to be $38. The palette will be available on the Morphe website on Wednesday, June 21st. I don't have a specific time at the time that I'm filming, but once I do, I will insert that into the description box. But thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Thank you for making this video possible. I hope I did well for you guys. If you did enjoy this video, I hope that you will give it a thumbs up, and I also hope that you will consider subscribing before you go, and I'll catch you guys real soon in my next one. Bye.